Let's talk about what is anecdotal record. So when we talk about anecdotal record, so it is a form of documentation used in school setting to capture specific observation and incident related to students' behavior, interactions and progress. So whenever we are talking about anecdotal record, so who all are the people who are supposed to use the anecdotal record? So anecdotal record is used by a school counselor, which is been asked from co-curricular teachers, subject specific teachers or class teachers as a record of a students. For example, कोई भी चाइल्ड का कोई बिहेवियर जो है हमें स्पेसिफिकली जानना है, बिकॉज यू बीइंग अ स्कूल काउंसलर यू कैन स्टे विद द चाइल्ड 24/7 वेन एवर यू आर इन स्कूल. तो you have to ask for the observation record from the teachers. So that is basically anecdotal record only. Anecdotal record में अब क्यों anecdotal record अलग है observation record से? Now when we are talking about the difference between anecdotal record and observation record, तो anecdotal record जो होते हैं those are brief descriptive account of specific incident or behavior which are observed in classroom. कोई भी अगर बच्चे ने कोई स्पेसिफिक इंसिडेंट किया जो कि बहुत ही डिस्टिंक्ट है बाकी जो नॉर्मल बिहेवियर होते रहते हैं डे टू डे लाइफ में, उससे बहुत ही एक डिफरेंट है. तो एनेक्डोटल रिकॉर्ड में हम लोग क्या क्या नोट करते हैं वो है कि कब हुआ, डेट, टाइम, लोकेशन क्या था, कौन कौन लोग इन्वॉल्व थे उसके अंदर, और किस तरीके का बिहेवियर था और क्या इंसिडेंट हुआ था और क्या आपने रिएक्ट किया. क्योंकि बच्चे ने तो ये रिएक्ट किया लेकिन आपका क्या रिएक्शन था उसमें, आपका क्या टेक ऑन था, यू हैव टू रिकॉर्ड दैट एज वेल इफ इन केस यू वर प्रेजेंट ओवर देयर और एनी टीचर वॉज प्रेजेंट ओवर देयर. Now, when we are talking about observation records, so observation records are more systematic and comprehensive in nature. They involve observing and recording various aspects of student behavior, skills, interaction over a period of time. So when we talk about anecdotal record, so it is about a specific event, but if in case we talk about observation record, so it is a noted record which is we observe over a period of time. It is not just specific one incident that we are noting, but we have a list of behaviors that we have observed during a period of time, specific time. Now observation record are more structured. इनके अंदर we can use checklist, जो भी रेटिंग स्केल्स होते हैं या प्री डिटरमाइन जो कैटेगरीज होती है ऑब्जर्वेशन प्रोसेस की. ऑब्जर्वेशन रिकॉर्ड जो होता है वो आप भी अपनी तरफ से जो है वो चेकलिस्ट बना सकते हो कि कौन कौन से जो है बिहेवियर जो है वो अगर आते हैं. तो इफ़ इन केस टीचर ऑब्जर्व फॉर एग्जांपल हाइपर एक्टिविटी है, इनअटेंटिवनेस है या बहुत ज़्यादा conduct behavior है बच्चे का, so you can make a checklist which is actually not having these difficult words but more general words which are more understandable by the teachers. Now observation record में और क्या होता है, so it includes a broader view of student behavior and performance over different context and situation. These records are typically objective as they focus on the observable and measurable behaviors rather than the subjective interpretation as compared to the anecdotal record. Now, observation record are used to generally gather the assessment, research and planning educational interventions. So if in case we talk about in summary that what is the major difference between anecdotal and observation record, so both are the very important record that has been required by a school counselor and both of them are used together for a better outcome. But if in case we talk briefly what is anecdotal record, so it captures specific incident or behavior in a subjective and descriptive manner, while observation record provides a more systematic and objective view of a student behavior or performance over a period of time. So now coming to एनेक्डोटल रिकॉर्ड हो गया है और ऑब्जर्वेशन रिकॉर्ड क्या होता है, उनके बीच में डिफरेंस. नाउ इफ़ वी टॉक अबाउट एनेक्डोटल रिकॉर्ड तो हो गया बट उसका एक फॉर्मेट भी होता है जो कि एज पर द स्कूल सेटिंग यू कैन मेक वन फॉर यू. or you can make the one that I am showing. So it is a more detailed format that I am sharing, but you can use the one that I'll be sharing at the end of the video also. That is a shorter one. You can use it according to the situation or the teacher that you're giving to. If in case the teacher is able to provide just the basic information, then you can give a shorter, briefer one. If in case you being a school counselor have observed something that is needed to be recorded in a form of anecdotal record, so you can use a detailed one. So now let's proceed to the format of anecdotal record. Now let's talk about the format of anecdotal record. So at the top of it, we have to mention the date. So this date is when you are recording the anecdotal record in a written format. Now the date of incident and the date of record are going to be different, because it is not necessary that you're going to record it on the same day itself when the incident happened. You might just write it a day later whenever you get a time, being a teacher. So at the top of it, we have to mention the date of the present day whenever you are writing this anecdotal record of a student. After that, we have to mention the name of the student, which grade or section he or she is studying in. After that, you have to write the observer name. Now observer name here, the observer is the one who has seen things in front of him or her, the one who has eyewitnessed the incident. So the one who is writing anecdotal record and the one who is observer, both of them are same. So that name of the person needs to be mentioned here. After that, the description of the incident or whatever observation you have made. Now very important here that we have to note is, you don't have to use anything from your end. Use objective language, avoid interpretation and assumptions from your end. Just involve the things that you have observed that the child did, and just write the context, whatever thing happened, and as it is, without manipulating from your end. So you just have to briefly describe what happened, how it happened, and who all were involved, so you can include that over here. Just avoid any language words to be added on from your side here. Just write it as it is, whatever happened, without manipulating. After that, you have to write the date or time of the incident or observation. So here you have to write when incident occurred and the date and time of that. When we were talking about date at the last, at the top, it was when we are writing or we are noting down the anecdotal record. Here the data is going to come when you have observed the incident that you are noting about. After that, you have to mention the location. Location is the specific location within the school wherein you have observed the incident. For example, whether it was in a corridor, whether it was in bus, whether it was in classroom, whether it was in playground, whether it was in library, music room, wherever you have observed. So you have to write the location specifically. After that, you have to write the relevant individuals present. So who all were present over there? For example, any other teacher who was present, who all, like for example, the classmates were present, or were there any seniors or other staff members involved, or other supporting staff members were there. So you have to write all the people who were involved during that incident. After this, what you have to write is impact or relevance. So here what you have to do is, you have to describe the impact or relevance of the incident on student behavior. That whatever the student did, what was the impact, what was the outcome, what was the after effect on student behavior, the academic process, the social interaction with his peer, and other relevant aspect. For example, जब इंसिडेंट हुआ तो उसके बाद से जो है स्टूडेंट जो है वो बहुत ही अकेला बैठने लग गया, एंड ज़ीरो इंटरेक्शन है किसी के साथ में, ज़ीरो इन्वॉल्वमेंट है किसी भी चीज़ के अंदर, एंड एकेडमिक परफॉर्मेंस भी जो है इज़ वेरी लेस रिस्पॉन्डेंट ड्यूरिंग द क्लासेस. सो यू हैव टू राइट द आफ्टर इफेक्ट वट एवर यू हैव ऑब्जर्व. क्योंकि हो सकता है कि फॉर एग्जांपल सुबह के 10 बजे में ये इंसिडेंट हुआ है एट 10 a.m. and after that throughout the day you have observed that the child is little disturbed, he is sitting quietly, he is not involving with others. So you have to write all those information is going to come over here, wherein impact or relevance we have to describe. After that we have to write the follow-up actions taken. Now you being the observer, whatever you have seen, whatever you have recorded, whatever you have done, you have to write over here. That means after the incident, did you consult any professional, or did you had a talk with uh, any of the person who is head over there, the principal or the HM or the school counselor? So did you had a discussion with them? Did you had a follow up with them? Did you meet them? So you have to write over here. Now, did you had a talk with the classmates as well, that whatever action the child did you had a talk with students as well? What kind of follow up you had taken, what kind of action you had taken at that particular moment? You have to write that. अभी हो सकता है कि उस टाइम पे अगर किसी बच्चे ने जो है फॉर एग्जाम्पल किसी बच्चे को बहुत तेज मारा, for example he slapped someone. So you being a teacher who was present over there, and he was very aggressive at that moment, and he just slapped the one who was sitting beside him. Now you being the teacher who was observing the child, that he slapped the one who he is sitting beside, and the one who was being slapped has didn't do anything that provoked the child, that he just hit him, बट उसने वो मार दिया उस टाइम पे. नाउ यू बिंग अ टीचर, आपने क्या किया वो देखने के बाद? सो यू हैव टू राइट इट इन फॉलो अप एक्शन. आफ्टर दैट you have to write the reflection or analysis. Now here you have to write your own personal reflection or analysis regarding the incident or observation that you have done. Now here you have to write that why do you think that incident occurred? Why did the person slap the one who was sitting beside? What do you think are the possible consequences? What do you think are the possible things that triggered the child into doing such behavior? What are the possible factors that are underlined which provoked the child? What kind of pattern have you noticed in child that you think that might have just triggered him to hit someone who is sitting beside? So here you have to write your own interpretation, your own perception towards the incident that occurred under the heading of reflection and analysis. At the last you have to provide with the signature and date of anecdotal record. Now anecdotal record जो है वो ज़रूरी नहीं है. We are only asking from the co-curricular teacher, class teacher and teacher. So people are going to think कि ये school counselor का कैसे मतलब काम का है. ये काम का इसलिए है. Why is it important for being a school counselor? That because आपको जो information है वो सारी जो है वो डिफरेंट टीचर से ही मिलेगी, तभी ओनली यू आर गोइंग टू form and come to the ground basis that what actually happened and how you are going to plan the intervention further. Now another important thing that you have to note is कि क्या anecdotal record जो है वो सिर्फ एक ही हम लोग लेंगे टीचर से? No. Anecdotal records are supposed to be recorded for specific incident and have to be submitted to the school counselor on a timely basis. For example, 2-3 दिन में 3-4 इंसिडेंट्स ऐसे हो गए हैं जो कि बहुत ही एब्सर्ड थे, बहुत ही डिफरेंट थे, बहुत ही यूनिक थे, जो कि आप एक्सपेक्ट नहीं करते हो उस बच्चे का, या इट वाज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अदर स्टूडेंट. So you have to report them timely to the school counselor. Now coming to the conclusion that we have to take in, which is anecdotal record should be objective. It should be factual, whatever facts were there, whatever things in the way that they have occurred. So you have to report that only. Focus on the observable behavior rather than the personal opinion or assumptions. Personal opinion or assumption, you have to write it at the last, but do not include them when you are writing about the incident. Now, the anecdotal record serve as a valuable tool for tracking patterns, monitoring progress, and informing decision making regarding intervention or support for students within the school counseling setting. Now, at the last, another important thing that we have to note is we can write anecdotal record either in a paragraph format, like without a tabular format, or you can write it in a tabular format as well. Now, here is a view how you can write an anecdotal record, which is like a very brief and shorter one that you can use for a quick, because there is a possibility कि anecdotal record लिखते वक्त, for example, incident अभी हो गया है but you're having back to back classes, but it needs to be added on so that you remember it later what exactly happened. So this is the shorter one that you can use. During that time you can just add a note to your diary कि ये हुआ था in this tabular format that I am sharing, which is visible on the screen. And later on you can write the detailed format which I've shared earlier. And forget not to subscribe to see more of such content in future.